New Mexico Crime Files, a deep dive into the archives, shocking and notorious cases, the arrests and what led to them, and what happened to the suspect. Here are your hosts, Dean Staley and Jessica Garate.
And welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of New Mexico Crime Files. I'm Jessica Garate with KRQE News 13's Dean Staley joining me as well.
Good to be with you, Jess.
Always fun. This episode, Dean, we're looking at these cases where the people, they're running from cops and they're so desperate, they'll try anything to try to get away.
Absolutely. And I think this is one of those crimes that it maybe in an existential way is everyone's worst fear. I mean, you can say that about a lot of crimes, but this really feels like you're home alone, you have a young child in your care, and someone basically invades your home and they're a dangerous criminal and you're there all by yourself. And in this case, it's a woman, it's a grandmother. This just goes to the heart of, I can't imagine a worse situation for somebody.
You really can't. And this is, you think about, what would I do if I turn around and there's a stranger in my house, I have my grandbaby next to me.
Yeah.
She's sitting there watching, she's got her 4-year-old granddaughter there and they're watching Taylor Swift and they're dancing, they're having fun, and you look over and you see this guy. And how she reacted was just amazing. Now, I do want to mention, I do know the woman in this story, her name is Anissa Tinnin. We've been friends. And after it happened, I'd heard, over the weekend, I'd heard that there had been a burglar shot by the homeowner, but we didn't have any other information.
Right.
And she called and she's like, "You're not going to believe what happened to me." And she starts saying the story of, this guy coming in and all the things she had to do. And it was just a lot of fast thinking. Like, I think sometimes, like, if I was ever in this situation, you're just trying to think of, like, the best way to get out of this and to get as far away from this person as possible.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff she did was just amazing in that amount of time.
Yeah, I think it's a master class. I mean, she should teach a class in if you're confronted in your own home with somebody who is obviously dangerous and they've invaded your home. She secretly calls police. She asks him his name and she's trying to calm him down. I mean, her interactions with him are very sort of, what do you need? At the same time, she's always trying to move him out of the house. You need to get out of here. She's doing everything she can to make sure her 4-year-old granddaughter is not in the way. Just a master class in how you handle yourself. She wasn't confrontational. She's just saying, just get out of here and everything's going to be fine, and work toward that, right?
And she was able to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to take one of her cars.
Yeah.
And then he comes back. And that's when she's not messing around.
Yeah.
Here's the story.
Get back! Get back! I have a gun! Get back! Get back!
That's Anissa Tinnin, heard on a 911 call after this man confronted her. Just 10 minutes earlier, she was singing and dancing to the Taylor Swift movie with her 4-year-old granddaughter. While down the street, chaos unfolded. Police say they spotted 32-year-old Joseph Rivera in a stolen car last month around 9:30 in the evening near Candelaria and Rio Grande. Spike strips caused him to crash, but he took off on foot down Candelaria, hopping a fence into Tinnin's yard. The family's Ring camera captures his every move. Here you see him walking into the home.
I jumped over this couch and went towards him, and we met basically right there in the front door. That's when he grabbed me and was upset and said to give me my keys, but he didn't want to go to jail. He did threaten to hurt my granddaughter and I.
Tinnin tries to calm him down.
As we were walking, I put my hands on him to say, to try to be calming and tell me what your name is, tell me where you're from.
The intruder wants her keys. As she looks for her keys, she also dials 911.
911 emergency.
Leaving the line open.
Hey, let's go outside.
You can hear Tinnin in the background trying everything to get him to leave.
To not hurt us, that I would do whatever he wanted. I would give him keys, money, whatever it took.
Rivera finally grabs a key fob and heads to her car.
There's a guy came into my house. He's trying to take my car. Please help me.
Then really tough moments with her 4-year-old granddaughter, telling her to stay in her bedroom.
I need you to be really brave, Aya, okay? I gotta go. You stay right here in Aya's bedroom, okay? It's okay, baby. I know, honey. I know. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Tinnin grabs her gun to check if he has left, but he hasn't. You can hear sirens. Police are closing in.
I kept asking him if he had a gun.
You can hear Rivera banging on the door. Then he kicks in the door.
I'm back here, and he's coming at me down the hallway, this way, and he's walking at a fast pace.
Get back! Get back! I have a gun! Get back! Get back! I will Hurry!
What did you do?
No! Because you're in my house!
I knew I was the only thing between me and my granddaughter.
Tinnin then tells the suspect she'll help him.
I will get you water, but if you hurt me, I'm going to shoot you again.
And I held pressure on his wound.
This woman, who did everything she could to protect her granddaughter, turns her attention now to the man who just moments before threatened her.
God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Tinnin begs the dispatcher for help.
Oh, God, this is not happening. Where are the police?
APD stepping in. Albuquerque police. Hands up, hands up, hands up.
Minutes later, officers move in, dragging Rivera out.
I do believe we had a guardian angel here with us, and I do firmly believe that God was watching over us.
Rivera is now facing a long list of charges on top of his lengthy rap sheet.
I would like for him to be held to the fullest extent. I absolutely do not want the DA's office giving him a plea deal. He belongs in jail.
Tinnin's granddaughter is struggling from that night. Megan is her mother.
She's scared of the dark and not like normal 4-year-olds. She won't walk down hallways that are dark by herself. When a 4-year-old is asking you if the doors are locked at night and if the alarm is set, I'm just so proud of Anissa. It couldn't have played out better given the circumstances, and it could have been a lot worse.
And I think that when you're faced with a decision of protecting your family, you do what you have to do.
The word I want to say I can't say, but I want to call her a bad you-know-what.
Yeah, yeah.
She is just...
She's a badass.
Yes,
I'm going to say it.
You can
this
say
woman
it.
is a badass. I want her caring for my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in those situations, just calling and leaving the line open.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear her trying with care. She told me that, she would talk to him and say, what are you running from? Calm down. Like, what's going on? Like, why do you need to leave? And trying to because he's running from the cops who are down the street and they're trying to find him. And so he runs onto her property and she's just trying everything to just get him to leave. And, you come back into her house,
Yeah.
he came back and
Guess what? As Van would say, our friend Van Tate, our sports director, mess around and find out.
Yeah.
Well, he messed around and found out, right? That's
Yeah.
what happened. You're absolutely right, though, and I think masterclass. I mean, this is to be in that sort of high pressure situation. This is a masterclass in hostage negotiation. You're the hostage, right? And you're trying to negotiate yourself out of this situation. Just incredible. I was also really struck by as well. This is that you talk about. I said this is sort of the quintessential crime moment when someone invades your home and you're helpless. You don't have a weapon, and you're just. But also when she's telling her 4-year-old stay in the room.
Yeah.
Her 4-year-old granddaughter. That to me is the most heartbreaking. I mean, it broke my heart when I heard it's going to be okay. And can you imagine being 4 years old and your grandma saying, "Get in the room and be quiet and stay here.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay." Don't and you're freaking out, and your grandmother saying, "I mean, I can't imagine a more intense, horrible situation." And this is such a nice family. I'm sure they've gotten that kid a lot of help over,
Yes.
since this crime to help her get past this, because that's got to be just an incredibly destructive part of your childhood, a traumatic event like this. So
Not shocking. This guy been in a lot of trouble at the time this happened. Should have been behind bars. Had a warrant out for his arrest. Was given break after break. So we'll tell you what happened with his case coming up.
all right, welcome back, Jess. This is a crazy crime. As we've said, probably the worst sort of crime that sort of maybe lives in your mind in terms of sort of day-to-day thoughts about what was the worst thing. A grandmother at home with her 4-year-old granddaughter, and a home invasion, basically. A man who's on the run from police comes into the home. She does a great job talking him out of the home, trying to calm him down, keeping her granddaughter safe. Just, as we said, a masterclass. gets him out of the home, right? And then he comes back. By that time, she's armed. She defends herself. She does everything in the world she can not to shoot him. Ultimately, he still comes at her, right? Yeah. And then she pulls the trigger and wounds him.
And this is just one of those cases that exploded. We saw it. I mean, it went national. Especially because you had the video, you had the 911 call. You know, she did everything she possibly could before having to shoot this guy. He did survive the shooting. He had been in a lot of trouble before. Obviously, Anissa Tinnin, the homeowner who shot him, was not happy about why was he out in the first place, and he'd been causing chaos in our city all along. So she had her say during sentencing,
right?
And here's what happened in that case.
The man who was shot, Joseph Rivera, was sentenced to prison time today. Today, the woman who shot him took the stand asking the judge to give him the max sentence while sharing the moment she shot Rivera to protect her granddaughter's life.
The fear in her voice, the way she clung to me, it was the most difficult moment of the entire night. It broke my heart, but I knew I had to do everything I could to keep her safe.
Last year, Rivera stole a car which APD followed into the North Valley near Candelaria and Rio Grande. Officers eventually hit Rivera's tire with stop sticks before he got out of the car and ran off. He eventually ran into a North Valley home where Anissa Tinnin was with her 4-year-old granddaughter. Rivera broke into the home and demanded Tinnin's car keys, but the first pair he took didn't work eventually. Rivera forced his way back into the home, but this time Tinnin had a gun. She shot Rivera after he kept coming towards her, despite being warned that she would shoot him in defense, asking the judge for 6 years, arguing that Rivera has had a tough upbringing, but the judge felt differently.
You know, looking at your criminal history, there's someone that's been given the opportunity and you didn't take advantage of drug court in the past. You know, this plea, clearly you're going to spend some time in the Department of Corrections.
Judge Montano eventually sentenced Rivera to 8 years behind bars and 4 years of probation. Rivera did not address the judge or the victim. His sentence comes after taking a plea deal to avoid trial, pleading guilty to stolen car and home burglary charges.
So welcome back. This is, I think, a pretty light sentence for someone who was committing that much misery in the community and, to my mind, invaded someone's home, terrorized this grandmother and her granddaughter. He ended up getting 8 years in prison because he pleaded. He got a plea deal pleading to residential burglary and receiving a stolen vehicle. So those are pretty minor charges, really, compared to what most of us would look at the crime really was in this case. So he got 8 years in prison plus 4 years probation. But understand, because this is not this category of violent crime where you have to do 80% of your, right? There's a different rules about it. With good time, if you've got 8 years in a New Mexico State prison, you could get out in 4. Right. So that's what everyone, and when we struggle with this in the newsroom, you should know, as reporters and anchors, we want to report, this person got, a sentence of 12 years, but that doesn't mean they'll spend 12 years in prison necessarily. And they usually don't. So to my mind, to my heart, it feels like a really light sentence, and it feels like he got a pretty good deal.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially what he put that family through.
And also,
the little girl.
You were talking about the fact that he shouldn't have been on the streets at all anyway.
Yes. So here's what happened. So go back to July. So this happens that spring. Go back to July. He is found passed out. Police find him passed out in a stolen car.
Joseph Rivera.
This is Joseph Rivera. So he's passed out in a stolen car. They arrest him. He's released. Then he fails to appear. So there's a warrant out for his arrest. Mm-hmm. Then September comes along. Again, he's arrested. Car theft charges. He has had drug possession charges. He's arrested September, released. He's arrested again in October, released again.
Unbelievable.
And October was finally when they said, okay, enough's enough, put a warrant out for his arrest. So he'd been on the run this whole time.
Right.
And while he's on the run, this is what happens.
Right. And let's be clear for our viewers, a couple of things are going on here. One, unless you harm somebody, unless you stab someone or shoot somebody, you're going to get let out, right? And if you don't come back for your hearing, they're not coming to look for you. So when we say a warrant is issued because you didn't show up for your hearing, that just means a warrant is issued. That means we'll catch him next time we come across him when we pull him over for drunk driving or something else, right? But there's not an active like rope team or some specialized team out there looking for these guys, right? So that's why it's such an incredibly sort of light, almost hands-off kind of approach to criminals like this one. And there's one other aspect of this story we will explore when we come back, and that is the quirk in the law where what happened to this woman was nowhere near what this man was charged with. And we'll explain that when we come back. All right, welcome back. We are talking about a home invasion in Albuquerque involving a grandmother who was babysitting her 4-year-old granddaughter and did everything she could to protect herself and her granddaughter. Ultimately, ended up shooting the bad guy, this woman who she had talked her way into getting him to leave the house. He came back to the house, and by that time, she had her gun out and even then tried not to shoot him, said, stay away from me, don't come in. He came toward her anyway, and she shot him. I do want to mention, Jess, that was really well told as a reporter, so I want to give some props to Jess here. That 4-minute story that lays out, I don't, you should know as reporters in Albuquerque, we do our best when there's a crime like this to take you inside, to interview the victims, to really give people a feel for what this is and not do a superficial treatment of it. And I thought you did a wonderfully comprehensive story. It really made me feel like I was in that house with this woman who's a wonderful woman. So kudos, Jess. Good job.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
This
stuff.
This was one of those rare ones where they had home cameras. We had a ton of video. Yeah. I had requested the 911 calls, and then we just had a great interview. And he said just telling her story and sharing it with us was phenomenal.
And everyone can relate to this woman. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. She is. I know her through politics. I know her through different things, but she's very vocal, and she was really fed up with the crime in the city, and so and this happens to her, and so she's one that's not going to keep fighting and make sure this doesn't happen to another family. Mm-hmm. And so she went up to the legislature last year, tried lobbying for a bill, or this past session, she was up at the legislature trying to get bills passed and to fix this, because what he was charged with really doesn't match the crime. Right, and let's spell this out for our viewers. In New Mexico, there is no real crime labeled home invasion, right? So this guy pleaded guilty to residential burglary and receiving a stolen vehicle, and that's it. So when you think about, he went in and threatened this woman and her granddaughter, and that was just called a residential burglary. So there's definitely a gap in New Mexico law that doesn't recognize this sort of behavior as a crime in and of itself, that if you come into a home that someone's already in, this isn't just a burglary. You know someone's in there, you go in there, you stay in there. Because it's one thing, I think, if you're trying to burglarize a home and you're like, oh, wait a second, someone's here, and you take off. Maybe that's not a home invasion. But when you go in and someone's there and you continue to say, okay, I need your car, you're going to do as I say. I mean, this is a home invasion, no doubt. So she fought, like, we need a law then. We need a home invasion law that recognizes this particular crime. And at the legislature, creating this home invasion law, it would have been a second-degree felony, had bipartisan support. And guess what happened to it, Jess? It died in committee like many other bills without even being voted on. And this is one that you just think, I just assumed we already had this kind of law in place and that we don't. And that we need to really look at this. Even as a reporter, you think you know a lot about crime and charges and the criminal justice system, and you and I look at each other and say, we don't have a law against home invasion. How did we not know this? Yeah, crazy. That was absolutely insane. Oh, and she also had mentioned too, like she also thought that there should have been stiffer penalties because a minor was in the house. Mm-hmm, absolutely. And putting a minor through that. Sure. And that's also wasn't on the table. So parents get charged all the time for putting a minor in danger. And right? that minor was in danger. Yeah, for neglect or putting them in a compromising position, someplace where they might get hurt. That's a charge that parents face. So when someone comes into your home from the outside and threatens you and your child or your grandchild in this case, you just think, how is that not a crime? Right. Unbelievable. I also want to point out before we wrap this up, I was struck when you hear the victim statements in court at sentencing. I want to go back and just take a moment to remember how traumatizing it had to have been for that 4-year-old who may still be suffering from this event. And what a traumatic experience for a grandma. I mean, this is obviously a high-functioning, intelligent woman, but to have someone come in and do that, I'm sure that she wonders about, is my door locked? I mean, sure that just lives with you in a way that you don't just get over. You don't just get past. You don't just say, oh, that's, especially having to shoot somebody in your own home. I mean, this is
I just really, what a devastating crime.
It really is. And just, it's traumatic, and you're seeing someone, you can hear it in her voice. You can hear it when she's calling 911. I'm just, and she's telling him, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for, in the end, after she shot him, after, days after this had happened, she was really concerned. She's like, is he going to come after me? Because could he, because
Sure, yeah.
we've seen that too. She's, even though she's in her home, she was worried, could I face something? Because, and there's just all this fear going through her mind. And she was just, it was just terrifying for her. I do want to say she does have lots of training in guns. Mm-hmm. She knows how to use them.
Yeah.
And obviously, she's not, there wasn't any, just grabbed a gun. She has all the safety training and knows how to use one.
Yeah, and that's
and
a
it was
big
last
difference
resort.
too. And that's a big difference too, because you and I have talked about these sorts of crimes where people have guns for self-defense, and then they end up, as we've talked about on this show, chasing someone out of their business down the street and then shooting them, where you think, okay, well, you don't understand the self-defense part of this. She clearly did everything she could to use that gun responsibly and tried not to have to shoot him, right? Just again, this is sort of a masterclass in how to use a firearm in that instance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anissa, amazing job.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop my kids off at your place.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep an eye on them.
Best babysitter ever.
Yeah. They may be more trouble than the bad guy, actually. I won't put that on you. So.
And definitely, Joseph Rivera, you picked the wrong house.
Yeah. Mess around and find out.
Yes. Okay, Dean.
Yeah.
This wraps up another episode of New Mexico Crime Files.
Yeah. We thank you for joining us. We'll see you at the next one.